Uh-oh. Sorry. All right. Factory life. Factory life is not pretty, you guys. If you missed today, yesterday we were dealing with communication inventions and all that good stuff. So here's where you're starting. Okie dokie. Okay. What's a factory? It's so hard not having y'all here answering questions. A factory is where you have a whole bunch of machines in one place all producing stuff. Whatever it is, stuff. Okay? Okay, listen. Officially, the very first factory was in Rhode Island. And officially, it was created by Moses Brown. Rhode Island, America. Guys, we actually had factories before that in England. Textile mills. So why do we say officially Moses Brown, Rhode Island? I don't know. But that being said, working conditions in a factory were appalling. Factories start before there's any electricity. Okay? So it's dark. Unless you're all covered with windows around the walls. I've got a light on right now. See? But most of my light is actually coming from that humongous window right in front of my face. So we can get a really good chunk of light coming from windows. What happens at 6 a.m. though in the winter? You have light? What happens after 5 p.m. in the winter? No light. So a lot of the time, the factories are really, really dark. Okay? Really, really dark factories can lead to a lot of accidents. If I can't see well what I'm doing, I could hurt myself. Think about this too. A whole lot of the machines in these factories, they're steam powered. A lot of these original factories were wooden buildings with not a ton of windows. So it's dark, it's wooden, water and steam. Water and steam are going to start to cause, the wood to start to rot. Which means you could literally fall through a hole. You could step through wood that's rotten and slip and break your leg. If you're working with a machine that is metal and it's kind of wet from like steam and stuff, you could slip. Your hand could fall into the machine and get like like grinded off. Ground off. Grinded? Really? Ground off. Okay? You can get all kinds of injuries from this. No workers' comp. If you get sick, oh, just kidding. If you get hurt on the job, sorry about you. Figure it out. Use your other hand. Your other hand's good. Guys, there's nobody yet. No workers' unions, no laws, nothing to protect the worker. Well, that's a problem. You could be fired for any reason. Any reason. And they don't have to give you a reason. You break your arm, you decide to go to a doctor, you come back, your machine, somebody else is using your machine. You've already been replaced. Shouldn't have left to go to the doctor. There's no workers' rights at all. None. You're also working ridiculous hours. Most of the time, you're expected to be like on your machine working right before the sun comes up. We need to like use all the daylight possible. So if that's like, let's just make this up. Let's just say that's 6 in the morning. Okay. Well, you don't stop working until the sun goes down. That could be, I mean, it depends on when. I mean, in the summer, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? 9 o'clock? Guys, it was not abnormal to work 14, 15-hour days, 30-minute lunch break. You don't like it? Go somewhere else. There's a whole bunch of people who are willing to work this job, and there were. Y'all, these are crappy, poor, low paying jobs. Why do people want them? They're in the city. I don't want to be a farmer like my whole family has always been. I'm young. I'm 16, I'm 17, I'm 18. I want to find my place in the world. I'll go to the big city and get a factory job and get started that way. Look, the dogs are barky barky, so I'm going to pause this and go let them back in the house. Alrighty. This right here is a picture of like your typical industrialized town during the 1800s. Gross, man. Each one of these that you see, these black things sticking up, each one of these is a smokestack for coal smoke to come out. Gross. Those are all factories, guys. Or I guess it could be like it could be like a house or whatever, but probably factories. Okay. So anyway, we were talking about hours, I believe, right? Let's sneeze. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, you can work like a ridiculous amount of hours and it's allowed. It's still okay. All right. I honestly quite often work 14 hours a day. I do. I go to school, I leave home at 7. Okay. I'm out the door at 4:30. You know that. I know I'm bad. But then I go home and I work until 8 or 9. If I'm done. But see, I'm working at home. I don't necessarily feel like I'm working because I have chosen to work at home. They're stuck in a factory 14, 12, whatever hours a day. The dogs are just staring at me in front. They want snacks. Snacks. And I'm a mean mama. Okay, so anyway, really, really, really long hours. On top of that, you don't have a full weekend like we're used to. You don't have Saturday and Sunday off. Saturday was a normal work day. Some of you are like, well, I mean, it is at my job too. I know. I did retail when I was in college. I get it. Saturday and Sunday didn't mean anything to me back then. I understand. I feel your pain. However, they had Sunday off. I mean, one day is enough, right? No, and it's not like we're lazy or whatever, but we need some time off, right? Well, it wasn't really a day off. Sunday was church. You go to the church Sunday morning. Most churches, the way they worked back then, you didn't go in the morning and then go back at night or whatever. You would go in the morning. Everybody would bring a dish like food, and it was a big potluck, and everybody would eat lunch together. And then there'd be like a church service at like 2 or something. And then everybody would go home like 3 to 4 and you'd have the evening. That's it. That's your day off. That's it. One day, but you're still expected to be somewhere. Now let's talk pay. Every factory is going to be different as far as pay goes. All right. But it could be as low as like 2 or 3 cents an hour. It could be as high as like $2 a day or something. It just depends on where you're at. Now, I know what you're thinking. $2 a day, isn't that good for back then? No. Uh, Factory jobs are still like these are the new peasants, big time. And then on top of that, what do we do with our kids? My wife and I have to work in the factory, or we can't pay for our little 1 room apartment in the middle of New York City. What about my kids? Well, you're in luck. Your kids can go to work with you. Excellent. Child labor. I've got a lot of pictures of child labor because I feel like it's just one of those really disgusting things that we did. I understand why we did it, okay? Um, but it's just sad, I think. So I have a lot of pictures. Okay, look. Kids have been working from the beginning of time. Farmers use their kids like you see here. They always did. Kids have always been working, but not in a regimented way where they have a job. It was more like chores around the house or whatever. All right? These are some pictures of some kids working in textile mills. A lot of my pictures are textile mills. Why? I don't know. I don't know. It's just what I found. So, do you hear Freya whining? You probably can't hear her. She wants back out. Okay. I'm not very good with ages of kids. What do you think? 5? 4 or 5? I don't know. Does he look happy? These are some more kids in a textile mill. How do I know? Look in the background. Those are spools of thread. These are empty spools. Textiles. Up here, you have spools of thread also. This is I don't know, teenager. Maybe 20, but probably not. And this young man here, he's sweeping. 2 young men here. Does he look happy? I'm going to say this over and over again until the end of the year. Now that we have cameras, you're looking at real people in real time. Somebody didn't paint this little boy to look like this. That's the way he looked when this picture was snapped. One of the reasons my arrow's gone. There we go. One of the reasons child labor really gets started. I mean, yes, parents need something to do with their kids and all that. Yes, parents need their kids to be able to pay for the stuff around the house. Yes, but see, kids, you only had to pay them half. So if your parent makes 3 cents an hour, you make 1.5 cents an hour. Well, the factories like that. It's less for them to pay. More people, less salaries being paid. Another thing is, if this machine right here breaks underneath, as an adult, I'm too big to squeeze under here, get up under this thing, and fix the machine. But these little boys, they could actually get, like little kids could get under or behind machines where adults couldn't and pull things out that had gotten stuck or whatever they needed. They could fix a machine, they could get in it easier. That's so sad. These kids didn't get to be kids, y'all. These kids grew up way fast. I don't know. To me, it's so sad. Okay, there we go. Look at this little girl. She's so cute. This is also a textile mill. Here, you see spools of thread. Okay. I don't know what she's doing. How old do you think she is? 3? 2, 3? Guys, you could hire kids as toddlers, 2 or 3. You're like, what can a 2 or 3-year-old do? They could be gophers because they would go for things. My nephew, who's about to be 3 right now, by the time I'm teaching this to you, he is 3 because it is, what is it, June. Okay. My nephew, who's 3, I could give him a basket of empty spools and say, take this over to whoever. And he'll take this basket of spools to whoever. They'll give him a basket to bring back to me. He's a gopher. He goes for things. Look at that beautiful little girl, though. Does she look happy? These dogs, you guys. Hi again. All right. Here's another textile factory. You see the spools of thread over here on the right. And you have a little bit older boys. I don't know. I'm not good with ages. 9, 10, you think? I don't know. A little bit older. I love this picture. You have like so many varying degrees of smiling, trying to smile. First of all, these kids are disgustingly dirty. Kids get dirty. Okay. It happens. What are they doing? I don't know. Their faces just crack me up. He looks like he's saying, take the picture. He looks all right. Darn it, she blinked. He's just ticked off. He didn't want to be in this picture. Or maybe he just got in trouble. Or maybe he just got whipped by the factory foreman. These girls look all right. She's trying. She looks happy. She looks like she was about to say something, and she looks really nice. Ages? Again, I don't know. I'm not very good at this. 10-ish, maybe, you think? Be nice. These ladies work in a textile mill also. There are no spools of thread behind them, but do you see all of this? All this white stuff that is stuck to them. It's cotton. It's cotton. Um, Look at them. They're a little bit older. I don't know, maybe like preteen or I don't know. I think they look like junior high age. Don't you? 12, 13, maybe 14? The one in the middle, bless her heart. She looks like she leads a rough life. That's what it looks like she's doing. Just makes me wonder what their stories are. You know? Why is she pulling away like that? Don't touch me. I don't know. Maybe she has a sunburn. She's like, ow! I don't know. But I always want to know their stories because that's what historians do. Look at these boys. These are coal miners. One of the worst jobs actually was being a coal miner. You had to get under the ground hours at a time. A lot of the shafts, the okay, get over it. A lot of the coal shafts were really small, and so adults couldn't get in them. Kids could. Okay. So that being said, a lot of kids worked in coal mines, and they breathed in coal as they were chipping away at it to get it out of the ground. A lot of these boys, like this one right here, you see has a bandana. He would have pulled that up over his mouth and nose. This little boy, he has a turtleneck. He would have pulled it up, I guarantee. This little boy, a bandana. Okay, they pull it up and cover because as you're breathing that in, those are little tiny particles of rock, and they get in your lungs and they just fill it up. It's called black lung, but really it's just like mud or charcoal or dirt that just fills it up, and eventually you can't breathe. Most people who were coal miners when they were kids, they didn't make it much past the age of 30. Yeah, 30. Guys, I'm 42. And they didn't make it much past the age of 40. Look at them though. I don't know. I think they look proud. I'm a coal miner. This one just looks mad. I feel like, you know what I really feel like this picture is every year. I feel like this. Football boys, you know how you have to take your football pictures like really tough and right? That's what I feel like these kids are doing. They're doing their football pose. Don't mess with me or I'll tackle you. I don't know. I think they're cute. I think they look proud. Look at this sweetie. He's a cutie, right? Do you see anything wrong with him? Well, first of all, he doesn't look happy. These are not paintings where somebody painted them to look or whatever. These are photographs, real people at a real moment in their life. Real. What happened? He seems to be missing a couple fingers. Okay, don't always jump to the most thought. Maybe he was walking home and a dog was like, right? Maybe he shut it in a door. Or maybe he got it stuck in a machine. We don't know what happened to his arm. Look at this little boy. He looks all right. Doesn't look too sad. Doesn't look like too dirty, too gross, too uh-oh. Guys, his arm is not behind his back. His sleeve is tucked into his overalls. He doesn't have a right arm. Okay, again, don't jump to like the conclusion. He could have been born that way. That is possible. Absolutely possible. He could have had I don't know, a horse accident or the horse trampled it and it had to be cut off in order for him to live. Absolutely. Or it could have gotten stuck in a machine and ripped off. Look at this, sweetie. Actually, this seems weird, but it's true. One of the better paying jobs during the Industrial Revolution were the papes, the paper boys. Um, Chicago called them papes a lot. New York called them newsies a lot. Paper boys. Big newspaper companies in New York and Chicago, okay? They had deals with orphanages. Deals. The orphan boys got to be papes, paper boys. All right? You could be hired to be a paper boy if you weren't an orphan, but they're going to get it first. Okay? Most of the time, the paper boys were sent out in groups of two, and typically you would have an older boy and a younger boy go out to sell the papers together. Okay, you didn't just go with your same age. You typically had an older boy and a younger boy. Who's going to sell more papers? The older boy or the younger boy? A lot of the time, the older boy is going to sit off to the side a little bit and deal with the money. The little boy is the one who actually sells the papers. Look how cute he is. You don't want to hear some, I don't know, 9-year-old little boy, extra, extra, read all about it. Titanic sank. All right. Does that make you want to buy a newspaper? Or what about this sweet little boy? Or even younger? Mister, extra, extra, read all about it. This big ship, the Titanic, it sank. Just 5 cents for a newspaper. Oh my gosh, the younger they were, they could sell the crap out of newspapers. And as soon as you're done with your like pile of papers that you're given, you're done for the day. Cool. Sounds good. Are there negatives and positives to everything? Yes. You have the rest of the day. You can do whatever you want. Sometimes it's not so good. I thought I had a picture next. Guess not. Okay. People are going to start to get really ticked off about child labor. This right here is a political cartoon. Please remember, political cartoons aren't supposed to be like, that's hilarious. They're supposed to be like, oh, true. Guys, look, whenever you see this kind of rather large gentleman in a lot of our like 1800s political cartoons, he symbolizes big business. Okay? Big business, corporations, the rich. What's he doing? Well, he's eating children. Why? Because he's a cannibal. No, child labor. The idea is big business is eating our children alive, and we're letting them. Child labor is not a good thing. Some of you are like, yeah, I wish I could work. Yeah, you're 15, or most of you by now are 16. You weren't forced to work when you were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, my dad made me take out the trash. Guys, it's not the same. It's not the same at all. It's really sad. Anyway, Oops, wrong thing. Okay. We have this, like, I don't know, audit, if you want to think of it that way, of factories. All of these like really negative things are being said and written about in newspapers about factories. So this group goes around and they look at a whole bunch of factories and they write the Sadler report. And all of the bad rumors were true. The factories are dark, they're dank, they're wet, there's mold, there's rats everywhere. The working conditions are terrible. The hours are terrible. There's blood on the machines where, Bob got his finger stuck in it. There's a little kid running around with one leg, whatever, one arm, running around with one arm because his arm is still stuck in the machine. Nobody can get it out. Y'all, they're seeing terrible conditions and they write about it and then they publish it. When people see the Sadler Report of 1833, they're pretty horrified. There's a big push to change factory life. It doesn't happen immediately, and everybody doesn't want it to happen. In order to change the conditions of factories, it costs money. And me, as the factory foreman, the manager, or the owner, I got to foot that bill. Ooh. So it's going to take a long time, okay? But the Sadler Report really kind of starts getting people thinking about things and wanting to change things. And we have this guy, John Stuart Mill. He's an interesting looking fella. Where's my thingy? Here we go. John Stuart Mill. All right. John Stuart Mill starts publishing and writing about, I said that backwards, starts writing and publishing books and information about utilitarianism. Look at the word. Utilitarianism. Basically, you do whatever's right for the majority of the people. No matter what the cost, majority. We're like, duh. Who's the majority at this point? The rich or the poor? The factory owners or the factory workers? The big businessmen like Thomas Edison, Rockefeller, can't remember any other big names, sorry. Or not big businessmen, the poor. He says, we got to start changing things, not for the rich, for the poor, because there's more of them. So something starts. Now, he doesn't really start labor unions. We've actually kind of had unions since the medieval period. I don't really teach them. They're called guilds. It's just a group of workers. Kind of the same idea, except labor unions, it's when a group of workers, and usually they are like workers. The car makers union is all people that make cars. The teachers union, it's all teachers. You're not typically going to have a computer builder in a teachers union. Okay. They're like people based on employment. Okay. But unions start getting a group of like workers together to try and put pressure on owners, on big business, on factory managers and foremen. The foreman is just a manager, okay? And they're trying to put pressure on these people to make changes. Okay, listen. Step one is not protest and strike. That's step 400. Step one is collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is where your labor union leader sits down at a table with the leader of the business or the foreman of the factory. Okay? They sit down with each other. And the labor union leader says, okay, we don't want anything to change except instead of 3 cents an hour, how about 5? The business owner says, how about 3 cents an hour, but I build you a new building that isn't moldy or wet or wood? Whole new building. Windows everywhere, so there's light everywhere. Labor union says, how about 4 cents an hour? And you put in a window every 10 feet. Done. Compromise. Guys, collective bargaining is compromising. You all do this. You all do. It's like second nature. Honey, take out the trash. Okay, mom, just let me die for. Oh, that sounds weird. Video game. We're playing a video game. Just wait until I die. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna beat this guy. I'm gonna beat him. Honey, it's been 20 minutes. Have you died yet? No, I beat him. I haven't died yet. Honey, you have 10 minutes to take the trash out. Well, Mom, what if I haven't died? 10 minutes. Mom, okay, 15. Okay. Collective bargaining. We all do it. Step one is to try and get change in an educated, diplomatic manner through negotiations. Sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes you have to go that next step. Next step, protesting or strikes. Okay, now listen, we all have a visual in our mind. Like whenever I just said strike, you all just got a visual in your mind where you're standing out in the street with a sign that says work for more money or whatever, and people picket and they walk around in circles and they're like, we're not working or whatever. Okay, that is a strike. It's not always the best kind of strike. When you're in the middle of the street and you're not in the building with your machine, you could just be replaced. You could be. They could just bring people in through the back and let you scream all you want out front. Meanwhile, they're making money because a whole bunch of new people have just been hired and you're fired. The best kind of strike is kind of more like what's a sit-in, okay? Where at a certain time, okay, maybe the time was 12:20 p.m. on whatever day we are today, Wednesday. At 12:20 on Wednesday, somebody is going to be like, and that tells, I don't know, I just made that up, but that tells everybody in the entire factory, turn off your machines and sit down in front of it. Or turn off your machines and link hands and stand in front of your machine. And if the foreman comes around and says, what are you guys doing? You say, we want a raise of 4 cents an hour and we're not working until we get it. And if they try and grab you, then do whatever. Guys, strikes and protests didn't happen near as much as collective bargaining. Collective bargaining, I think I have some pictures, maybe. Yeah. These are some pictures of some strikes, some protests. Labor unions trying to get rights for things. These are kids, you guys. These are kids, like child labor kids, kids who work, and they're saying, dude, I want to go to school. Give me justice. More school, less time in the hospital. Why am I in the hospital? Oh, because I got my leg stuck in a machine. Oh yeah. These are kids protesting, striking, asking for change. I lost my mouse. Where'd my arrow go? There it is. Okay. There are going to be quite a bit of changes made, especially in the late 1800s and early 1900s, based on the labor unions. Okay. We are going to get less working hours in a day. There's something called the 10-Hour Act. The 10-Hour Act made it so that men only had to work 10 hours a day, not 14. Okay, that's still a lot, you guys. But women were like 8 hours a day, and then kids were like 6 or something. Kids below a certain age, and I can't remember what the age was, 10 or something, could only work like 4 hours a day. There are now like minimum age laws too. Some of you are like, yeah, I want to work. Sorry. Kids who were young, some of them had to be in school part of the day, and then some of them could work part time. All these laws, like what's the word I'm looking for? Sanitation. Keeping your, what's it called? Factory. Keeping your factory like clean, keeping it sanitized, not like we think today. It's still disgusting, okay? But not moldy. All right. Basic working conditions. They're going to improve big time. Is that good? Does that mean business is getting too involved? Government, is government starting to control our businesses? No. Government is regulating businesses. You remember with Adam Smith when we talked about the difference between controlling a business and regulating, protecting. The government is trying to protect workers. Now, it's easy to say, yeah, well, they're protecting the workers, but they're not protecting me, the business owner. Okay, who has the money? Who can protect himself? Who can't? Cities are pretty disgusting as well. Urbanization. Urbanization is the growing of cities. And during this time, cities are exploding in size because of the amount of jobs. Look at all these factories that you see. All these smokestacks are factories. Well, all of those factories need hundreds of workers. So a bunch of people are moving to the cities. These pictures I'm showing you are New York in the late 1800s. Okay, I'm pretty antisocial. And just to look at this makes me all witchy. That's too many people. Gross. Look at the overcrowding. Ugh. Look at all these people. I've been to Times Square in New York at 5 o'clock p.m. Ugh. Everybody was packed together and people were nice. They weren't rude. In fact, they were probably looking at me like, why is she so rude? But I was like, don't touch me. It was just packed together. Look at this. Buildings have nowhere to go but up. So apartments are getting higher and higher because there's nowhere to go but up. There's also no sanitation codes in cities as well. So there's like sewage everywhere. It's dirty. It's, what is it? Pollution-y? Whatever. People are throwing trash out the windows. You have homeless everywhere. You have horses, so they're just pooing in the streets. Okay. And apartments are really small. And these people don't make enough to pay for an entire apartment by themselves. So a lot of the time you'll have one, two, three, four, five, six. A lot of the time you'll have a lot of people packed in a small area. Yeah, no social distancing with that. It's like my nightmare. Look at this. A lot of the apartments of the time also are, especially in New York, they're like one room apartments, not one bedroom, one room. You sleep, your living room, your kitchen, everything's in one place. Your bathroom is an outhouse, outside. I mean, you don't pee outside, like there's a building, okay? But it's outside of this. This is a family of one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. And they're all in this little tiny apartment. Look right here, another little tiny apartment. One, two. This is somebody's legs. There's his head. Three. Head. Four. Somebody else's knees. Five. Six. Somebody else's hand. There's feet. 7 men right here. Ugh. It's pretty crazy. Look at this guy. You gotta love that beard. So it's pretty crazy. Um, it's a good thing that the cities are growing. It's a great thing that business is growing, but there are negatives. The overcrowding, the crime rate, the cholera. Oh my gosh, disease. Cholera comes from like contaminated water. Ew, like sewage water. Like there's a dead body in our sewer and we're drinking it. Ew. Okay, so ew. We definitely today romanticize and glorify this time period. Oh, it's the Victorian period. Yeah, the rich have it okay, but what about the poor? It's pretty gross. All right, next, complicated stuff. It is, it's complicated. We're getting to the economic systems. Okay, doke. Bye.